I do think, and this is often the case, sometimes it feels a little embarrassing, but I always try to think about this. You go with what you know in that moment, and then no regrets after that, because, yes, you will find out 2 weeks later, 2 months later, 2 years later that you were an idiot. But who knew? You go with what you know in that moment. So when Steve Kerr, for instance, goes, well, look, Draymond is, we're giving him his space, and he's giving us ours. A lot of us went, ooh, that's an interesting quote. Do they not like each other? Why are they giving the Warriors space? Is this like wagging a finger at him? Wait a minute. They haven't been talking? He's not in the facility? Oh, there's a wedge. A wedge has been driven. And we speculated. And we said it was speculating because we didn't know. How are you to know? But the sound of that quote, and that's why we went right to it when Steve joined us the next day, because I'm like, do you want to add something to that? And he made it sound much less disgruntled type of a vibe. Come to find out, the more we're hearing now, and we'll let you hear what Draymond said about this today, that whole idea of like a wedge between the two sides couldn't have been further from the truth. He was asked what he missed the most during his time off.
What you miss the most is, I sit and I watch our games. And what you miss the most is just being able to be there for the guys. Like, man, it's hard to win NBA games. I think we've had times where we've made it look easy. It's hard as hell to win an NBA game. So when you see guys struggling, you just want to help. But in the same breath, I wasn't sitting there like, I need to get back. I can change this. That was the whole point of like not being here. I didn't think guys needed to hear my voice. But yet if I see something, I'm going to try to help. And I just thought that was wrong, especially with no return date. Just to be around the guys and like working out and like open-endedly practicing and work. Like, I just didn't think that was right. I didn't think it was right for them to even have the uncertainty. It's almost like you out of sight, you out of mind. And it don't quite always happen that way in our sport because it's a win or lose sport. And so when the wins are piling up, everybody's great. When you're losing, everything feels like it's falling apart because that's what it's all based off of. And so I just didn't think that they should be susceptible to more than I had already kind of made them have to face. Seeing me every day was one of those things. And so I would just say being with the guy. It's unfortunate that we haven't had the season that we've all thought we would be having up until this point because it's a great group of guys that really enjoy being around each other. And that hasn't always been the case. And so I think I missed that more than anything. But I wasn't just like missing playing because playing wasn't on my mind. Like if playing was on my mind, then I think I would have been doing myself a disservice and everyone else around me a disservice. So that wasn't really my focus. My focus was my path, my growth, the things that I want to do, my family, and making sure that whenever that day came, if it did come, that I returned to this team, that I was in a better space and able to provide for them what I need to provide. And I think I'm in a great space, but just being able to help the guys.
All right. No one will ever accuse me of being cynical. I don't really have that in my DNA.
Sure.
And here's another example. Like, can we listen to that and take from it what he's saying? There's a lot of awareness about other people in there. So when we heard it a week ago, we went, oh, my God, he didn't even want to be there. No, that's actually exactly where he wanted to be. And you go, okay, well, then why wasn't he? Well, because he felt like that wasn't good for everybody else.
I mean, that's why he wasn't there. It's because he wasn't hurt. Like, normally when you're injured, you're still there and you contribute and you're a part of it. But what he had done to have his absence be basically mandatory based on the league was based on his own behavior and his own actions. So he needed to be away from the team. He needed them to be able to go through what they needed to go through, and he needed to go through what he had to get himself in the right mind space so that when he came back, he would be ready. And he was actually back there last game in the huddle, and he was then ready to be a part of the team again and contribute and be a positive member of the non-playing Golden State Warriors, and now he's back to being able to play again, and now he can get back to being the player that he was before. So I actually applaud him for having the maturity and the perspective to realize that where he was in his own space, and he even said in that cut, he wasn't even sure if he was going to come back. But when he made it back, if he was going to come back at all, he had to be in a different mind space. And so until he got to that place, he didn't want to be back there serving as a distraction as opposed to what he normally is.
Couple of notes. Doc Pandy is going to jump in here in just about 5 or 6 minutes. Draymond's return, Cleveland Farrell, Chris Paul, all of those questions with Doc. Before we go back to your calls, another reminder to subscribe to Willard and Dibs on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. While you're there, you can check out all of our content. Subscribe to that as well. The Morning Roast had Brian Baldinger on earlier today. He said some things about the Rams that are going to only make you more scared about that potential matchup. I don't think you need to be scared. But anyway, also, if you missed any portion of Draymond Green's press conference, that, of course, was live during Steiny and Goo 1 o'clock hour. You can go find that and listen to the entire thing on the free Odyssey app. Mike and Hayward on Willard and Dibs. Hi, Mike. What you doing?
I enjoy you guys' conversation. Really good. I would just like to say that I think the Warrior fans and a lot of us we have illusionary ideas about how much we can win and who we can win with, right? We got 4 championships. I mean, look how long it took Denver to get one, right? So I'm not too unhappy with the Warriors or Steve Kerr or the organization because we've already accomplished so much. Now, I think when you look at putting a team together like they did 2 years ago, they won it. You got to look at the takeaways. So do they have enough stuff? Do they have too many takeaways to compete? Or what is it going to look like? Because the recipe obviously ain't there because their record's like, it ain't that good this year so far, right? But like I said, what is it going to take for them to get better next year? Or what is it going to take for them to really be competitive? I think championships are won based on, look how long it took the Warriors to win a championship. They put that stuff together. They got those 3 guys, and they put the ingredients in, and it turned out to be a winning combination. So winning combinations don't always get better. You have to analyze the takeaways every year. So ownership is only going to pay so much money, and they're paying Draymond $100 million because they think Draymond could help win another championship.
Well, Mike, you're not wrong, but then again, and I've reasoned with it enough to get to this point, like we are a product of our surroundings. So Warriors fans right now, they measure each season by whether or not you can win a title. That's the goal every year, and it will continue to be the goal even when it's an irrational one. Maybe that's already the case, but then that will expire after a while when the team is not winning a championship or like not even close, or let's say it's a play-in team, or hell, let's say they don't even make the playoffs at all. Like the Chicago Bears fan base, take a look at them right now. They're having a very large debate over whether or not Justin Fields should be their guy, or should they go in a different direction with their 2 top 10 picks, including number 1 overall. Well, that's the debate. What will the measuring stick be on that next year? Let's say they stick with Justin Fields. What's the goal?
The goal for Chicago is probably to be above 500.
There you go. Can we sneak into the playoffs?
Can you get to be 9-8 and have a chance in January to be a playoff
And
team?
I hate to say this, but like at a certain point, Warriors fans, we're going to have some of those years. We've had plenty.
This might be that year.
I mean, maybe, but like depending on what happens this year, and if there's a reboot of sorts and a roster change and, clearing books and all those things that happen with NBA teams, yeah, you might have a year that starts where you're like, can we make the playoffs? That's it. Like, that's the goal. And then you make the play. Sacramento Kings last year, what was the goal? The goal wasn't to win a championship.
Well, the goal changed as the year went on.
Sure.
But still, I don't think you looked at it as a 3 seed and thought, our goal now is to win a championship.
Of course not. They end up losing in the first round. And what did you hear Kings fans say 5 minutes later? They're bummed, and then they go, but that was a great year.
Yeah.
That was a great year. Right. So, like, it's a moving goalpost all the time.
Always.
And it's going to be really hard for us to back out of what we're used to, which is a decade plus of win the whole damn thing.
And I think we're already out of that, honestly. I mean,
Coming
only
out of it,
the most idealistic Warriors fans are still in that mindset of this is a championship team. And I think, honestly, if you look at where you are right now, around 500, almost halfway through the year, and you've got injuries and you've got age and you've got a West that's better than ever before. Right now, the goal for me, if I look at it, would be get to the 6th seed. Can you get to be a 6 and stay out of the play-in? And you get to the 6 and then maybe, depending on who the 3 is, you might be able to win that series. And then, you get into the next round and who knows, you'll be underdog, but you might be able to pull something off against an inexperienced Minnesota or a lightly experienced Oklahoma City, depending on how that all shapes out. You never know what can happen if you make it into the playoffs. Right now, I look at it, and my goal for this team would be get to the 6. And the secondary goal is be better than 10. Be 10 or above, honestly.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind the play-in tournament as long as they come out of it.
Yeah, but I'd want to be 7 or 8. If you're 9 or 10, you got to win twice.
I understand. And
that's tough. And this team has never won a game in the play-in tournament, ever.
That is correct.
Including when, what were they, the 8 that year?
8.
And they went uno, dos, adios.
Correct.
Which is ugly.
Not good. Yeah,
No.
that's why I don't care if they're in the play-in as long as they come out of it. Come out of it and make the playoffs. Even if you have to go play Denver. I mean, they played Denver a bunch this year. They didn't look overwhelmed.
No.
I'm not saying they
lost
could beat
them both,
them.
right?
Yeah. But, I mean, quite frankly, they had both games most of the way.
Sure.
The Warriors finishing in the fourth quarter has been brutal this year. You know that. We've all known that. You watch that. So, but I also think when you watch them play the Nuggets, they're right there. Those are interesting games.
Yeah.
The Nuggets don't blow by them. There's a matchup thing there that seems to kind of work. Draymond.
Well, when you have Draymond,
But he didn't play in either of the games.
Right.
He didn't play in either of these recent games. So.
And the matchup went against you on Christmas because you had no one to guard the Joker.
Right.
And it was a parade to the foul line. Steve Kerr joining us in an hour.
Absolutely.